Today is the official launch day of the 11th edition of Warhammer 40,000, and with it comes the Armageddon box. This is my first proper launch box since 4th edition's Battle for Macragge, although I bought that like a year before 5th edition came out. I also bought the Command Edition during 9th and the Ultimate Starter Set during 10th, but both of those were just scaled down versions of the bigger launch boxes. Let's just take a moment to look at the outside of the box. The cover is an obvious homage to the 2nd edition box, which I remember seeing in the toy store when I was a kid. I never got that box, but a friend of my brother let me paint one of the Marines from his box. I don't remember how it looked, but I'm sure it was terrible. The back of the box shows the two armies duking it out. We have the classic introductory paragraph about grimdarkness and war and stuff. Then there's a list of all the contents of the box. I've seen a lot of complaints about the minis contained within, mainly about the Space Marine side, but honestly I think this is probably the best launch box for Space Marines. And honestly, the Space Marine side in every launch box has always felt lacking in comparison to the opposing faction. I think it's time we take a look at what's inside. There's basis upon basis upon basis. The first sprue seems to be the Ancient, the Jump Pack Chaplain, and the Eradicators with Heavy Bolters. This sprue would be the Space Marine Captain and the Orc War Boss. Here is the Orc Banner Knob and the Big Boss, I think. This is one of the Orc vehicles. Is it the... yeah, I have no idea. The War Track? Is that what it's called? This is the Orc Weird Boy. This is the sprue for the Intercessors. This is the sprue for the Land Speeder. This is the sprue for the Librarian and the Vanguard Veterans. This is one of the sprues for the Orc Boys and the Gretchen. This is an identical sprue to the last one. And the last one is the Dakar rig. Then we have the vehicle bases. Here is the transfer sheet for both sides of the box, both the Orcs and the Space Marines. And last but not least, it's the box full of paper stuff. Obviously, I'm an enjoyer of Space Marines. Who isn't? I have around 16,000 points worth of models, half of which are Dark Angels, but also Blood Angels, Ultramarines, and my own homebrew chapter, which these models will be painted as. I've never had an Orc army, but I've wanted to build one for quite some time now. However, I already have 8 or 9 armies that I'm currently working on. Also, I haven't liked any of the recent discount boxes for Orcs. I really like the models in this box though. So any tips on what I should get to expand to a 1,000-point army would be greatly appreciated. Right, let's take a look at all the books and cards. Let's start by looking at the chapter-approved mission deck. First, we have a pamphlet detailing how to set up your games, similar to previous decks. The first big change from previous decks is the size of the objective markers. Here are the markers from the 25-26 deck. They're 40 millimeters, whereas the new ones are smaller. Since objectives are now within terrain areas, the size is irrelevant, and by making them smaller, they could fit all 6 markers on one sheet. Next, we have all the primary missions. 5 missions per force disposition, with 1 duplicate if you're playing against someone with the same disposition. Then there are the force disposition cards, which shows you what mission to play depending on your opponent's force disposition. 2 identical stacks of secondary missions, 1 labeled as attacker and 1 as defender. Then we have the deployment maps. And lastly, we have the twist cards. Some of these were present in the previous decks, but some of the more game-breaking ones have been removed. Up next is the Dominatus campaign deck. Just like the mission deck, you get a pamphlet detailing how to set up campaigns. I've never used official Crusader campaign rules, so I'm not qualified to speak of them, but I am interested in trying these out. In this box, we have all the data cards for all the units in the box. You get 1 stack for the Space Marines and 1 stack for the Orcs. And I'll just put them in a quick slideshow and you can pause if you want to look at them. Then we have the Operation Imperator book. In it, we have the lore surrounding Armageddon and the ongoing war. And lastly, we have the current hot topic, the included core rulebook. Since 8th edition's Dark Imperium box, we've received a full-sized hardback rulebook, with the Indomitus and Leviathan books having unique covers. This time, however, we've gone back to how it was in earlier editions. We now get an A5-sized paperback rulebook that contains only the rules. The lore portion is now contained within the upcoming Combat Patrol Companion. And honestly, I'm in two minds about it. It would have been nice to have a full-size rulebook, but at the same time, this one is much easier to take with you. I suppose if they'd included the Combat Patrol Companion in the box, there would have been less backlash. In the next video, I will be going through the building and kit bashing process of the Space Marine half of the box, so subscribe so you don't miss that. And thank you for watching.